today.
30 December, Rudy here. Welcome to the Daily Ninja Show. We go through the shares, ETFs on the ASX, US, mainly linked to commodities. So starting with the King, MVR, the tank. He was off 0.7% today, saved by, actually the King is Woodside, saved by Woodside today. But again, probably a good buying op down to this 20 seems to be a good time to buy. VAS, the Australian share market, was flat. So we've got CBA, who's at a bit of a testing level here. See if he's got enough petrol in the tank to make a leg up. We shall see. Okay, gold. Before we get into gold, so S&P 500, just sitting at the highs there. Nasdaq, pretty boring. Okay, gold. Okay, so all the precious metals got a Mr. Slammy last night. Technically, we just basically came back to test this prior resistance level down to the 20-day moving average. So all good, but again, we were here this time yesterday, and then Mr. Slammy came in. Federal Reserve announcing their minutes of the last meeting tonight, so that might have been preparation. Who knows? So Aussie dollar, gold price got Mr. Slammy as well, obviously. So our gold index, so it came off, but there's still technically looks beautiful. So the miners ETF, so same story. That's good, nothing to worry there. So the same with GDX. So Newmont. This is the ASX version. So again, still looks fine. Northern Star, he's got a big holding in miners. This area here is great support. I reckon would have been good buying op today. It's good how he's just consolidating here. It'll allow when he goes to. He's got lots of petrol. Been doing a lot of resting. GDXJ. So he was off 6% last night, but again just down to resistance. So the big holding there is Pan America. And Evolution's got so that was a nice little, let's look at the daily on there, nice little retest right down to support here. So it all still looks pretty good. In terms of standouts today of our ASX, so the cheap grades coming in. So you've got Kingsgate, to bargain really. It's cheap on its current production, and that whole thing excludes this chili thing. So actually, we'll put your money where your mouth is, Rudy. I reckon he is a buy. Okay, any other? I've got NMG noted. They're another quite low one. Won't put a buy on that one. We've got Cell, another cheap one, looking good. And our Mr. Westmits, another cheap, looking good. So cheap's doing okay. Okay, copper. So again, copper price got a Mr. Slammy down last night, but again, down to resistance, or prior resistance becomes support. So the wire ETF, so look at the daily, so that's good. I mean, It's good to have these pullbacks. It's not really, but you know what I mean. So the big holdings are there, in there, First Quantum, Anto, Southern Copper, Tech. So technically they all still look good. Our boys that are in there, BHP, looks fine. Sandfire, Capstone, DVP. DVP looks great. Actually, I found out yesterday you can buy DVP in Oz Super, so that's pretty good. CopJ. Actually, if there's anyone, I'd love to know how many people are in Oz Super doing your own stuff. I think it's great. CopJ looks fine. So the big holding there is Taseko. In terms of our little ones, so 29M. Oh, I should put a mark if we're going to go again. Nice retest of prior support, prior resistance. Castile. So they're got their BFS underway. That looks good. CY5, he's looking nice. Firefly, Hot Chili. So all looking respectable. Uranium. Okay, that's spot price. Just hanging in there. I think once that breaks, then that'll flow through. So URNM. So the holdings under there, you got Kamiko, Kaza's starting to look good. So Sput, he goes up with the spot price. URNJ. So that's got UEC and Denison. So they're all just catching their breath. Our guys, say Palladium, looking fine, good time to buy. Get him in Oz Super. Boss, Mr. Boss, he's looks like he's going to fill the gap. Maybe the shorts are covering. Bannerman, having a breather. Same with DYL, so all constructive. Okay, the rare earth gang. So REMX, so just sitting on now support. How's our liners going? What's happening today? Well, that support seems to be holding. I still reckon you got to wait for 13 just to be sure. MP Materials. Geez, there's just nothing in there, is there? Alika. So that's looking fine. That was a nice buy back then. Okay. Onto not yet. Onto our medicine gang. So the lithium price. So still making short-term highs. Lit P. So that's a consolidation. Mum holding the baby here. So Pilbara. So phenomenal run. So Gangfeng. SQM. Love that to have a bit of a pullback then going. IGO. I can't say to buy that anymore, but technically it looks great. Liontown. In terms of our developers, what have I got here? EMH. So they're the ones that got the big $360 million from the Euro government grant. Anyway, have a look at them if you're interested. And GLN still looking attractive. Okay, now we get to the king, the divvy king. So the oil price. Okay. So we've got a bottom and a top and a bottom. So the range is getting smaller now. So it's either a break. So we need a break of 59 to confirm some sort of short-term top, and you don't want 56.50. You don't want it to drop below here, otherwise that would. Anyway, can't predict. Just watch. So the gas price. So he got Mr. Slammy yesterday, but seems to have found support there. So the big fella, he's hopefully everyone bought back here. So it looks like he's on his way. Beach, looking fine. Now this is what I don't. So Horizon, it's quite interesting. It really doesn't care what the oil price does, but they're basically 90% oil. They're high, produce at $20, but they pay a dividend of 14%. No franking credits, but yeah, check it out. The fuel ETF. So that's looking. I think well, that's why I put the buy arrow back here. But if we have a look at some of the underlying holdings of him. So you got Exxon. So they're actually making all-time highs. The world's largest producer and most profitable producer is Mr. Exxon. Then Chevron, nice little short-term declining wedge there. Kaneko, got a bit of a break and a pullback test. A break of this would be very bullish. Occidental, so that's still not a buy, but you can see it lining up. Valero, so again that's, you can see some constructive moves, price action, and the same with Shell. So alright. So I thought there's some mining, go through a bit of mining services. So we've got Boom Logistics, looking like he's getting on with it now. GNG, so these are all in the mining services space. LYL. Parenti, he seems pretty comfortable at the top here, consolidating. Same with NWH. Same Southern Cross Electrical, SXE. And Mr. Worley, I can't give him a buy yet, but keep your eyes on him. He's actually in the tank. Okay. So in sort of industrial space, we got Mr. ANG. I got that wrong. But he's like div of 30% profit growth, div of 6.9. I don't know, there's no news event anyway. Horizon 5.9 div. ALX 8.1 div. And did I have, the old Lindsay LAU 5.5 div. And DUR, well, they're not a big div, 2.3, but the chart looks constructive. Okay, so then we got the girlfriend. So she was mishandled yesterday, like the rest of them. So we were here yesterday. I did think we'd get a test down to here. I didn't think it'd be that. Actually, it was more the reaction of the stocks I didn't think would be so disastrous. But anyway, so it's done a retest. That's good. You know, they did increase the margin requirements. So that's the paper game. It's a bit one-sided, really, because the shorts get backed by the government. It's like if they get carted out, the government will just pay them off, whereas the speculators don't. They got to close their positions. But I think it's becoming more of a physical market now. People buying futures to take delivery. So we got to expect this. Anyway, it still technically looks constructive. But again, we've got to wait for the US to open, because that's when Mr. Slammy usually comes. So SILJ was off 7%, but again, technically, and if you bought down here, you're up 30%. So the zinc price, so that's just consolidating. Lead, look at that, Mr. Lead. Mr. Lead's popping his head up. He wants to join the party. Okay, so ETP Mag got sold off obviously today. I think if you're in your super and you're buying it for long term, I reckon you'll end up finding that would be a good opportunity today. So if we look at some of the underlying holdings, so Heckler, Coor, First Majestic, Endeavour, so that's just life. So XMet, so he pulled back a bit, looking fine. South 32, so he's still looking good. Okay, so in terms of our boys, actually held up pretty well, I thought, given everything. So our producers, Polly, so if we look at the daily, so again he's come back and finished up, so that's positive. BHM, so he's looking constructive there. My Kitchen Rules, so again that looks great. And if you don't have anything silver, I'd try and stick to these producers. Or as I go down the list, they get further and further away from being a mine. So BML, and just to give you some, so they're mainly lead and silver. So they're not going to start producing till 2027. Okay, so apart from those three that I just said, these guys are at least a year away from being in production. So the next closest is IVR. So they're hoping middle of next year to have their DFS, definitive feasible study. Anyway, he looks good. SVL, now they could be well advanced, but they can't get their environmental app, so sell. Okay, so BKB, he looks fine. ASL looks fine. Ardent, so that's that resistance now. USL, I thought that's actually held up quite well. Actually, all of them have, really. We're not as they've actually held up more than those big silver miners or SILJ that was off 7%. MMA, so ILT, AVM. So that's the silver price started to pick up, and the West Coast Eagles. So he actually finished up 8% today. So all a pretty good effort from the old Silver Boys. All right, till tomorrow. See ya.
Get a